Today we're reviewing what might just be the ultimate power station here. It's the Bluetti AC200L, and this thing is going to be fantastic for just so many people. Let me explain here. This is going to be great for people that camp, overland, go off grid, also for emergency preparedness or preppers. This thing is going to pack a punch and pretty much power or charge everything that you could possibly think of. So what is this thing? It's a solar charger, or basically a big battery. It's a huge capacity, giving you 2,048 watt hours of power, which is equivalent to about 170 amp hour battery, but it's got built-in all the connections that you could ever really want to plug in here, including 30 amp plug to your trailer. So just fantastic amount of usability, and there's really something for everybody. Let's go into that a little bit further and talk about the battery itself. It's a safe and stable battery rated for about 3,000 cycles, so it's going to be around for a long time. Now with that, you're getting 2,400 watts of usable power, up to 36 in powerlifting mode. So this thing could potentially power things like air conditioners. It's got a lot of power that it's capable of. So regardless of what you're really wanting to use it for, it's probably gonna work. I can't really think of many things that this thing actually can't power. So really great upgrades in terms of the usability of this thing from its previous generation. And man, the list goes on and on. So let's dive in a little bit more. So testing this thing out in some real world scenarios, it does beautifully, no hiccups whatsoever. And personally, I don't know of a scenario where I'm gonna utilize more than 2,400 watts, let alone 3,600 watts in powerlifting mode. So having said that, of course I did push this thing to its limit here in regular mode with a heater here on full blast, using a shop vac, and then throwing a big 200 watt light on here and then cranking it up to see just how it could handle it. I'm happy to say that even with sustained use, over 2,500 watts, it was not a problem whatsoever. Here's some footage sped up, and this is just me turning up that 200 watt light to get as much as I can out of this, and just to see where this thing is actually going to turn off, if at all in this case. And yeah, it doesn't. Again, I don't think I'd ever have a need to actually run something at these wattages, as it would drain the battery very quickly, but nonetheless, here it is performing just fine. As you can see, it's still very portable. It's a decent size, and it's gonna store in the back of your truck or in your trailer, absolutely no problem. It comes in just under 61 pounds or 28 kilograms. So it does have some heft to it for sure, but it's still portable, which is the main key factor here. You can still pick it up with one hand and drag it around. You can use two people if you got it. It's not a super huge burden. Of course, you can just go onto the Bluetti website and just read off the specs. So I'll just kind of talk about what stands out for me. Of course, it's got your connections that you're used to, your USB Type-C up to 100 watts here. You got your USB Type-A, you got another USB Type-C, you've got your typical 120 plugs, and then that 30 amp, which is just right over here for your trailer and whatnot. So just fantastic in terms of what you're able to get in. But remember, this thing is for off-grid, and to do that, you're gonna have to be able to charge it off-grid. So this thing has multiple ways of being charged. You can throw it into the wall if you do have grid power, and it's gonna charge incredibly fast. It can charge at either 800 watts, 1,200 watts, or even 2,200 watts, giving you a 0 to full charge in about 1.5 hours, which is just incredible when you think about the capacity of this battery. It's amazing. Now, if you don't have grid power, if you're maybe on the road, you can throw this thing connected to your car or your truck, and you can power it that way, although it's gonna take quite a little while. You don't have a ton of wattage coming in, but there's also, of course, the ability to charge this thing through solar, and you can actually get up to 1,200 watts coming into this thing through solar. So it's gonna charge pretty darn decently with 1,200 watts, which is just a fantastic option. And that's gonna be really the kind of doomsday prepper. People are gonna love that, because that's just so capable, and just again, a lot more than previous generations. Okay, so another few key and really cool features, this thing does have pass-through charging. So that means you can actually charge it and use it at the same time, which is really nice. So if you're using solar, or even if you're plugging it into the wall, you can again use this thing, all the outputs and whatnot, while you charge it, which is pretty cool. Another really important feature is the UPS feature, the uninterrupted power supply feature of this, rated at 20 milliseconds. So if you have equipment that cannot lose power plugged into this thing and this thing into the wall, when you lose power from the grid, it's gonna automatically switch over and allow those devices to be powered. So, you know, sensitive medical equipment and whatnot, this thing has your back. And usually those things cost a heck of a lot for home use and whatnot, if you ever looked into that. But this thing comes included with that feature, and I think that's just an added value and just fantastic. Of course, like everything these days, it does have app functionality, and the app is really easy to use, really easy to navigate, and pretty much a no-brainer. And just know that if your screen did break, you have that option. But if you're somebody who doesn't like apps particularly through Bluetooth or even Wi-Fi in this case, you can actually power most things through the buttons right here. So good to know. So yes, at 2048 watt hours, this is a pretty big capacity battery, but you can also expand it with Bluetti's expansion batteries. So you can actually expand this thing 2, 3, 4 times, whatever, up to a huge amount to even include this into your home as a whole home backup, which is probably what I'm gonna think about doing here pretty quick, and use this thing not only as a portable unit, but if the power does go out, which it does quite often, well, I can power most of my stuff with this bad boy. So the overall usability here and the interface is really nicely laid out. It's simple, it's got your buttons right there. Everything is pretty much on the screen that you could ever want. And it is a big upgrade in terms of screen over the previous generation. It's not touch screen, but there's really no need for it if you ask me. And that's just kind of more to break. But with this, it's really bright even in the sun. You can see what's going in, what's going out in terms of wattage, which is great. I really like that for addressing draws and things and whatnot. You can actually see and monitor in real time and see how much and how long your battery is going to last before you need to charge it up again. And of course, you can monitor your usage in real time and then make adjustments appropriately. Love the screen. Everything that you need is there, and it's got all the little warning indicators and all that stuff that you could ever want right on there if you're not using the app once again. So overall, a huge upgrade over the last generation of Bluetti's products. I think this thing is just a fantastic winner in pretty much every regard, but there is 2 features that they did leave out of this thing, which is a little bit curious. Of course, it's tough to bring everything to the table, but also keep costs just right. One is a little light. I would have liked to see a little LED light here. I do use that on some of my other power stations. In the past I have, and I've relied on that, which is nice. And the other is the wireless charging feature, which has been removed here, that was on the top. I kind of like that just in case I forgot my cord, or if I'm feeling lazy, I can just throw that up there and get a little bit extra juice on your phone or what have you. So those 2 things have been removed. So I'd like to see those added on future generations, or maybe a specific model if there was one based on maybe just off-grading stuff. I think that'd be pretty cool, but overall, I think the features included and everything about this thing is just about perfect. So guys, thanks so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like and subscribe button, join the community. Let me know all your questions and your comments down below, of course, and let me know if you're gonna pick this thing up or what you think about it. Thanks so much to Bluetti for sending me this unit for review, but as always, they have absolutely no input on it. It's completely my own opinion. As always, guys, make mistakes, be yourself, and get out there and take some more pictures. See you next time.